This is to TVPChallenge and anybody else that supports the Venus Project or on the Holodynamics group, which we don't hear of too much. These are two groups that are working towards changing. They're two groups that I don't belong to because I see flaws within both groups, but both groups happen to have a pretty good direction. Both of them are very important pieces of the puzzle, and I think they're onto some really good ideas if they recognize their problems, but they don't have an interest in it. And so, what I'm thinking of doing is hijacking both groups. So, what I plan to do is start my own group, which is going to be a mixture of both groups put together with a little change, which is basically how both of them came together is they used other people's ideas, found out what they thought was a good idea and put their pieces of the puzzle together and started forming a group and telling everybody this is a good idea. They're going no place. And you've seen the rudeness that goes on, which has been my complaint all along. They put out a really good idea, and then they're really, really rude to you when you want to participate with them, but you kind of bring up some ideas on, hey, wouldn't this be a better idea? No, you're crazy. They get into a lot of the name calling, which is okay in defense. Since I can't join that group, I started posting videos and voicing my opinions. And yeah, it's not going to seem nice and it may seem offensive, but that's what these groups are is they're offensive and they cause a reaction and somebody else is going to appear um, to mirror exactly who you are and what you stand for. Um, when you find something that works, there is no disagreement, and people tend to join because they like the idea. The group that I'm going to start is going to collect a database of everybody's complaints and figure out how to solve everybody's complaints. So because the Venus Project claims to be trying to develop a better system where and it admits that it's not a perfect system. That admission that it's not perfect and no interest to make it perfect implies that you're going to do some harm to somebody. You just don't really care because you think it's impossible to make a perfect system. I believe it is possible to make a perfect system. You listen to people's complaints. I happen to think that holodynamics explains how you can design such a perfect system. Why? Because through a holographic view of things, you're looking at everything from all perspectives and you can see what's a good idea and what isn't a good idea. So to support the Venus Project without any perspective on what is good and what is wrong for us to be doing um, is a system that will never ever work. Holodynamics, on the other hand, that claims to be a tool that can solve every problem known to the human experience, has a flaw in itself if they have been curing illnesses, proving that their science works for more than 30 years, yet I haven't heard of their books. It's not a big group. Wouldn't every one of us like to know about a tool that can solve every problem known to the human experience? So clearly, what is stopping it? And it's like the creator of this tool isn't using the tool himself to market his books, because if they were marketed, then they would be helpful. So him letting everybody know, hey, I'm out here, here's a tool, this is pretty useful, is somewhat out of whack for letting everybody else know that they're even there. So that is the problem with that tool, is at some point in time you have to decide whether you create your world or your world creates you. Does the universe affect you, or do you affect your universe? Are you a creator? You have to decide which side of the fence you want to live on. And then you have to decide that whatever wish, one desire you want as a creator, you make that happen. Now, the processes of pulling all of that together, having an end game of what you want, somewhat lies in what the Venus Project is all about. But it also somewhat lies in what holodynamics is all about. Both of them want a free society, so both of them can't really even legally come at me for hijacking what they've done, because if they go into any legal system, while they both admit that they want to get out of a legal system, they're contradicting their own shit. You'll be showing who they are just if they try to sue you, because um, they just want you to join their group and not somebody else's group, and they have flaws that they don't want to fix. And it's, somebody comes up with some science, and it's the joining of two people's good ideas, or sometimes it's three or four people's good ideas, that makes it different. So that's why this group will make it somewhat different, because it's a merging of both the Venus Project and holodynamics, with a twist of what I'm adding to it. Now, I think that anybody that has any objections to the information I post, those people that are in favor of everything the Venus Project stands for, I'd like to kind of point out that I'm, 700 videos that I've posted. There's a lot more information that I'm spreading. It's not just, here's what's wrong with the Venus Project. There's a lot of things that people need to know, and I've been trying to share what information it is that I have. And part of the information that I'm sharing is using myself as an example of what everybody else should be doing. I'm listening to myself, I'm being productive, I'm creating my reality, which is what everybody else should be doing. And I'm not going to tell everybody else what they should be doing, but you can use my example and say, hey, if this works for her, maybe it'll work for me. So I do my channel more like a diary and share the information I found, and how does it work for me. Well, I use a water concept, so it kind of keeps me focused and on track of what my intentions are every friggin' minute of the day. I always constantly reflect on, do I create my world, or does my world create me? And I do what I can with the knowledge that I have at present. I take I listen to myself. Myself tells me what to do, and then I do it. And myself tells me, you know what, just put a YouTube channel in, just share what information you have, and I'm sure if it's worth any value, eventually you'll find somewhat beginning of a career happening, which is what we all want. We want to put ourselves out there and let everybody know, hey, I'm here, this is kind of valuable, is it any value to you? Now I'm starting to attract some support financially. Please, if anybody loves this idea, support, because financial support is something we all have to do for each other. Don't fight the system, just control the system. And right now you're out of control of the system. You need to know how this game is played. If you want to create a new system, you have to sort of beat the old game while you're creating a new game. So you have to kind of know what the justice system is, and if anybody doesn't know what the Venus Project stands for, and what your chances are of actually making something happen within what period of time, like, if you're kind of lost and want to make it happen right away, you got to understand the legal system, and you got to fight it, because whatever changes you want to make, you kind of want to win every lawsuit. Now, if you had an understanding of holodynamics, you'd know exactly how to win every friggin' lawsuit. But then you also have to understand that our legal system can't find justice. It can't tell the difference between right or wrong. So there are systems, there are ways of looking at what's right or wrong. Using this tool of holodynamics, you come up with a problem within your system, you'll find a way that solves every problem. Now, you know how you can tell when you solve a problem? Everybody walks away happy. A problem, when it's solved, both parties are happy. There's nobody complaining. If somebody's complaining, something's wrong. Whatever is wrong, you need to work that problem out until the problem is solved. Now, looking at that from a big perspective, if you take that down to everybody's individually, yes, just because you can't find a solution to your problem right now, you got to understand there's no system available right now for you to experience that solution to whatever problem. But we do know how. Holodynamics has been explaining it. It has been proven to work. We just have to want it to work. We want to work within that system that says, hey, this kind of works. Um, so that's why it's sort of a hijack of that system. But I use my water because you have to always be directed that you are the one responsible for creating your world. So it kind of helps when you're communicating with other people that it's not them controlling you, you controlling them. Like if I sat and waited for the Venus Project to launch and take off and get perfect, I'll be dead. Just because I'm giving up on life, waiting for something to happen that won't happen. Same with holodynamics. Excellent group. They want to build sustainable societies and they're on to some really good shit. They just aren't getting it off the ground. Again, I'll be dead trying to make life exciting until they can make something happen too. If you can't notice, our corporate world is destroying the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, and you got to know how to beat them at that game. You got to form your own corporation. You have to sort of unite. And within the corporation, you have your own way of solving problems, which is okay. Again, study holodynamics. You can set up systems within your own systems to make them work, but your system has to be against the system that's against you. And the way you fight those systems is in court. Now, if you understand holodynamics, I mean, you can already tell that there's a way of winning every lawsuit. There is a way of doing it, very short, very inexpensive, but you have to have one lawyer representing the whole entire corporation, which is us all together. Now, you get good representation and you can control the outcome of every court case. We could win every freaking court case that we want. If we want to take over food, we can. We just need to take over that corporation through using the law, which means we have to have a legal system that speaks for all of us all at once. We have to be sort of like one massive lawsuit against the corporations. So you have to it's not a hard process. It's not an expensive process, which that means that if you get evicted from your house, I'll go into part two.